Okay, engineers, music to your ears. This will be the last video of mine that you watch for the year. But remember, they're all on Google Classroom. I have my own channel. You can go back if you end up missing me, right? So let's keep talking about what's expected of you this week. Remember, we're not doing a final so much per se, although I'm giving you a final project to work on this week. So the last things that we're working on is Unit 9, which is on games. And I've asked you at this point to do 9.1 timers. I asked you to practice 9.2 random circles. And then we skipped a couple units. One was like random ghosts and something like that. I wanted you to skip to get a little bit of experience with mouse events. So 9.5 is the last formative, the last daily assignment that we'll put in there until the final, which I'm going to introduce to you right now. So read this thing if you haven't read it already. Basically what it says, hey, if you're late on some work, that's fine, but the only thing I want to grade at this point are your aspects. Those are the summative assignments. Those are the ones that actually count for your grade. I will no longer put in late, daily, or formative assignments. If your parents have trouble with that or don't understand it, hey, I'm swamped. They don't affect your grade. Show them this video. They can email me if they want to talk to me about it. But focus your time on those summative assessments. Email me when they're done, and I'll do my best to get them in. They need to be to me by late Thursday evening, right? Because Friday morning, I'm going to be doing the final grade, the final walkthrough of CodeHS, and I'm going to submit your grades, and at that point, it will be done. So let's take a look at what I'm going to be asking you to do for your final. So here's an example of the final. Remember, you're going to go and you're going to make this in your sandbox. We'll call it something to the effect of final. And you're going to use a graphic, so make sure you're selecting the graphics when you go to JavaScript. I'm going to go ahead and hit run and show you what it actually looks like, and you'll see the different things that we've been studying over this year that we want to incorporate in this final project. Hit run code. The first thing it asks me, it says, hello old friend, how large would you like your circle? So I'm just going to put a number in there. I'll put 50. And then it says, hello, old friend. How large would you... I'm sorry, the next part says, hello, fine sir or ma'am. Which width rectangle tickles your fancy? So I'll put in a width for that. Laddie or lassie, how wide would you like your rectangles? I'll put in a width for that. It's getting a little bit... Okay, what about ovals? How wide would you like them to be? 60? And what about oval height? Well, make that 50. And then finally, how wide would you like your penguin? What? Seriously, I'm making a penguin. So I'm going to make it, 70. And penguin height, now, it's getting a little short with me, so I'll say that that's 90. Okay. Now look what came up. My graphics window has been divided equally into 4 quadrants. And this is what we really want our code to do. We want to take those inputs, those dimensions, and if I click on this, the upper left quadrant, quadrant 1, and I start clicking it, it's going to put circles of random colors of that radius that I entered. If I all of a sudden go over here and click in quadrant 2, the upper right corner, it's putting rectangles that I dimensioned with those prompts earlier. I go down here to quadrant 3, which is the lower left, and it's going to produce randomly colored ovals. And then finally, over here, if I go into quadrant 4, bottom right, it's going to produce penguins. Right now, I did penguins. You don't have to do penguins, but you'll do something of that effect. This is what we want our program to do. Right? So let me go through the guiding document, and then again, today you're going to start doing that, and you have until Thursday evening to get this to me before I grade it, and grades go in. So here's the document that's going to guide us through this. It says, in this last assignment of our long-distance learning coding unit, you will be asked to create a working graphics program that demonstrates many of the basic features of JavaScript programming that you have learned. In this assessment, you will be asked to prompt the user for input, use the input to render simple graphics, display the graphics using conditions, and mouse control. Right? So First thing we want to do is we want to be able to generate a graphics window that's divided into quadrants. You're going to need to be able to place lines appropriately to do that. And then when we press the mouse in each one of those quadrants, it's going to know where the mouse is and say, hey, when I'm over here, I'm going to make circles. When I'm over here, I'm going to make squares. When I'm here, ovals, and over here, I'm going to make penguins, or some graphic to that effect, right? So what are we going to do? It says, getting started. The program start function should draw 2 lines to separate the graphics window into 4 equally spaced quadrants. See the docs line for help with this. So let me show you, if you haven't already seen this, in CodeHS, what are some good references for these things. I know many of you have seen this, but over here in our window plane, in our program plane, there's this docs link, and we can look here and we can get information about the syntax and the structure of all of these different things. So if you're unfamiliar to how to make lines, or if you've forgotten when we did make lines earlier, I'm going to click here and it's going to give me some information about lines, and it tells me basically how do we structure it. So in this case we said, hey, variable equals new line, and what does it tell us? We put in the XY coordinates of one end of the line and the XY coordinates of the other end, and then we just say something like add line, right? So the lines are pretty simple. Some other docs then that might be useful to you in this case. If you haven't made an oval, this will tell you how to call an oval. The images one, how did I get that penguin? Right here. So this will tell you how to put images in as a variable. Here's a few stock images that are already located in the CodeHS library. I chose this one, the penguin one. You can choose another one, or there's a little bit of extra credit on this one. You might want to do something different. So anyways, this docs tab, extremely useful. So in words, just to guide you through, it says the program should then place circles of user random color and user-defined radius. I really should just say random color, right? Of random color and user-defined radius where the mouse is clicked in quadrant 1. It should place squares or rectangles of random color and user-defined dimensions in quadrant 2. In quadrant 3, the program should place ovals and random colors and user-defined dimensions. And finally, in quadrant 4, bottom right, the program should place a graphic of user-defined dimensions. See that docs images things for help. Here's the grading. This will be a little bit different. It's not going to go in. It's just going to go in as the only aspect for Unit 9, which was the game session. It's going to be 2 points. All the other aspects have been 1 point. So this one's a little bit more expensive in that regard. But here's how I'm going to score it. Half of those 2 points, I should say half point of those 2, students program displays a graphic window that is divided into quadrants. So when I click run on your sandbox, I get this. Maybe I don't. When I click the quadrants, I don't get anything, but I get that. You get half out of 2 for that one. Another half point. Students program creates the correct images in the correct quadrants. So if I click here, I get a circle. If I click here, I get a rectangle, oval, image, so on and so forth. But maybe to get this point, I didn't have prompts to tell me what size. They're just hardwired in, and the user doesn't define what size. That would get you 2 points, or 1 point out of 2, rather, 2 half points. What would get you to 1.5 point? Student program utilizes random colors for all basic shapes, and images are not included. So that means whenever I click my mouse here, I get a circle of different colors. I get a rectangle of different colors. The thing that you don't need to worry about random colors is whatever image you choose for here. So every time I choose, I'm going to get the same looking penguin. I expect you to give me the same looking image each and every time. So that would be your 2 out of 2. 100% on your final. I do offer 1 extra credit point. A half point extra credit. Oh, I'm sorry, no. We got to get to the last point. Point 5, the image used is unique and not found in the CodeHS library. So to get 2 out of 2, what I don't want you to do is I want you to figure out a way to get another image in here that's not in that CodeHS library. If you read that docs, I think you'll be able to figure it out. It's pretty simple. But some school-appropriate image that's not in the CodeHS library shows up there, and then here's the extra credit. You figure out a way that the image that you put up there is an appropriate picture of you. So every time I click that box, I see a little picture of you, and I get to say goodbye, goodbye, have a good summer. All right, guys, as you know, I'm here Monday through Thursday, 3 to 4, if you need help for office hours. This is your last assignment. If you got questions, come by office hours, email me. If you have an aspect that needs to be evaluated, email me and tell me exactly which aspect it is. Good luck, ladies and gents, and if I don't talk to you again, have a very good summer. I hope to see you at school September 1st to start a regular school year.